Hello, my name is Alex Fornino, former U.S. Candidate for U.S. Congress in Florida's 27th District, and I'm here to present to you different candidates because I've dropped out and I sort of have an obligation to endorse candidates, right? Especially ones that are good, because these four are quite good, and I'm impressed by them. And I believe they, present a new standard for the Democratic Party that should be followed. Especially now, and now's an important time because we have just about 3 months until our Democratic primaries, so that we have, a chance to really choose some good people. Peguero is decent, I'd say. Not as good as the others, but he is in my district, so I kind of have an obligation here. And also, I'm here. I can see him. I've met him. I have not met Oliver just yet, but maybe soon. But Larkin over here is his situation. FL25 was actually gerrymandered by, believe it or not, by Republicans. Governor DeSantis, and the other Republicans. They shifted the district so that 25 doesn't have like a western, like a part of Broward County that's suburban. Now it's just the beach areas from I think somewhere in Palm Beach County, I think, to Miami-Dade County, to Miami Beach, that whole beach area. So at least it's consistent, but it's shifted in a way that I think I saw on a map. It's just barely conservative leaning. But hey, that's why that's just a challenge. We have a challenge on our hands to show these areas what real representation is all about. So I hope you enjoy these presentations of the candidates' positions, their issues, and by the way, I have contributed to all four of these candidates because I believe they have the right energy behind them. The right values. So to speak, and you shall see in this series. So I hope you watch all of them, or I hope you enjoy whatever you do see of this little series of reading the issues portions of their websites. I did not know he was born the 4th of July. That's pretty cool. Oh, hey, I remember. You remember this setup? Yeah, I had this. I think I had this framework for my platform, so it's funny to see that again. I remember this format with what I showed you on this channel, on this YouTube channel, on mine. I use this format, this maybe this venue to get a website up and running and set up. So, all right, Medicare for All. Oliver supports Medicare for All Act to guarantee health care to anyone in the United States, eliminating co-pays, premiums, and deductibles. In Florida, it is urgent. We'll fight Republican efforts to cut care and work to expand Medicare to include hearing, vision, and dental coverage. I like mentioning expanding Medicare. Because Medicare for All, we're going to need a really big sea change to get that, but we can hold on to Medicare, expand it, and expand Medicaid too. I don't know. Let's see. I don't see Medicaid here, but I imagine Oliver would be in favor of expanding that too. He supports canceling medical debt and investing in mental health, addiction treatment, home care, and elder care rooted in community, not isolation. Yes. Elder care and home care, not things I haven't really heard of much, so that's good. Stands with nurses, EMTs, and care workers, fighting for livable wages with doctors, and with doctors burdened by debt. Yeah, they do. They have like 8-10 years of post-secondary education. That's gotta they shouldn't be burdened with that, or if they do, they better be paid a lot as a result. Honestly, I feel like maybe medical education should be easier, not harder, and thus, or maybe let people get into certain specialties in that field. So there's, more having more doctors in the essential fields that we really need them. Because I think there's maybe a deficit in them, at least in terms of like this home care, elder care stuff. So a universal system will strengthen unions, support small businesses, and give people the freedom to live healthier, fuller lives without corporate insurance companies profiting off of denied care. Abortion rights. Let's see. Abortion is healthcare and a human right. And Congress would be allowed proud vocal advocate for reproductive freedom. Oh, it actually lists an act, the Abortion Justice Act and EACH Act, to protect and expand abortion access, no matter who you are, where you live, and how much money you make. Okay, opposes all abortion bans. He believes all people, not politicians, should make personal health care decisions. In states like Florida, extremists are putting in it. Oliver will fight to restore nationwide abortion access. Okay, supports training the next generation of OBGYNs, protecting providers, and expanding access to care, especially in underserved communities. The U.S. has the highest maternal mortality rate of any wealthy country, with black women 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes. That's a bad sign if there ever was one. So sad. I like the extra emphasis on supporting people who do want to go along with their pregnancy, because that's it's like a two-sided coin, right? You want people to make the decision and also to carry on through that decision of that reproductive or counter reproductive decision. Let's see. Oliver knows protecting abortion access is inseparable from fighting for maternal justice, racial justice, and healthcare equity. And then queer healthcare. Oh, I see. He adds the IA to the LGBTQ. That's good. Maybe you're starting to hear more about the IA these days, but they've been brushed under the rug, mainly because the transgender, transsexual is such a hot topic these days. Oliver will fight any Republican attempt to restrict LGBTQIA healthcare. He supports universal access to gender-affirming care and will stand up to far-right attacks on trans youth, civil rights, and basic dignity. Yeah, that gender-affirming care. I think I forgot what I was going to say about that. But yeah, that's a controversial thing. But I respect him for standing up for it. I imagine that these are going to be part of the Medicare for All, or perhaps even Medicaid and such. From banning care to shutting down hotlines for trans youth in crisis, extremists are putting lives at risk. Oliver will work to expand access, combat misinformation, and to stigmatize through public education. Okay. Oliver believes HIV prevention medication PrEP is an essential, life-saving form of healthcare that should be made widely accessible. Yeah, you don't hear much about HIV these days and AIDS, but if it's still that much of a problem, then we gotta tackle it. We gotta take care of it. We gotta hold it back. Big Pharma and drug policy. Oliver believes we must end Big Pharma's profiteering by having the federal government manufacture generic prescription drugs at cost and allow Medicare to negotiate prices across the board. Wow, okay. That's serious. Cannot afford medications. Opioid crisis. expanded access to non-addictive pain treatments, and ending the federal prohibition on marijuana. Yes, yes. Legalization would create tax revenue, cut into the black market, and allow medical research into promising treatments for epilepsy, PTSD, cancer, and more. Oh, yes. Very nice. This is the kind of platform I really like. If you really want to get into the detail, this is what you want to see. All right, in Congress, Oliver will champion bold constitutional reforms to strengthen democracy and ensure every voice counts. Let's see. Millennials, Gen Z, and every generation today lives with the consequences of two presidents, Bush and Trump. Yes. Elected despite losing the popular vote. Let me guess. Abolish the Electoral College. Wait, where is it? Well, I imagine that's the idea. Maybe he forgot to spell it out, but I see. I get it. Constitutional reforms. Let's see. Let's talk Turkey. Let's see. Amendment 4, right to abortion, but it failed despite the supermajority treatment. Well, that's a Florida issue specifically. Let's see. So Oliver will support legislation like the For the People Act and John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and fight to ban partisan gerrymandering through independent redistricting commissions. Yes. Enact automatic and same-day voter registration. I've heard of that before. Good. I do see overturn Citizens United. It came around. Expand access to open primaries and ranked choice voting. Yes. Impose ethics and anti-corruption standards on all branches of government, including a ban on stock trading by members of Congress. Yep, we've seen that with Angie. Let's see. Abolishing the filibuster, expanding the House and the Supreme Court, granting statehood to Washington, D.C., and self-determination, statehood if chosen, for Puerto Rico, Guam, the Virgin Islands, Samoa, and the Northern Mariana Islands. Mariana Islands. That last one I haven't really heard of much. I don't even know where these, like, the Virgin Islands and Mariana Islands. Samoa is, like, out by Hawaii, I think. But yeah, that's good. That's quite impressive. Not amazing, but pretty good. Economic justice. Let's see. Oxfam. Be at least 5 trillionaires within the next decade, like Elon Musk, for example. Okay, Oliver will fight for a fair tax policy that restores the top marginal tax rates. Doesn't say from when he restores, but they were up to like 90%. I mean, for income over like $1 million, $2 million, I mean, you could be like that. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. With policies that reinvest in America and rebuild an economy. Let's see. In Congress, Oliver will introduce legislation to regulate big tech giants dealing in consumer data. Okay. I mean, I imagine this is something, a complicated matter, so there's probably something behind that. Oliver's legislation will give the American people their due, the big tech dividend. Okay. Compelling advertisers to pay us for using our personal consumer data to target us for advertising and marketing. Interesting. He will introduce legislation to regulate social media giants as public utilities to protect our First Amendment rights in an online environment that increasingly functions as the public commons. Yeah, I mean, that's important. It really should be treated that way. Like I mentioned earlier, now we're specific. 25. How much does, let's say, for example, Pagero want the minimum wage to be? Let's see. Do we see? Doesn't specify cutting costs, immigration system, livable wage, living wages. Doesn't, is not specific, but yeah, 25 I think is definitely enough, even for people in like New York City or San Francisco. Let's see. Give 86 million Americans a raise. Customers should not be forced to subsidize starvation wages. Corporations should not get away with slave wages to incarcerated workers. On convict leasing programs. Ooh, that's serious. United States economy has experienced cumulated inflation of nearly 50% since the minimum wage was raised to $7.25 in 2009. Yeah. Let's see. Economic justice is about creating good jobs. More statistics. That's the floor. Unions and labor. Let's see. Believes in democracy in the workplace. Yep, that's a form of socialism, indeed. As a former union organizer, yep, he believes. He knows firsthand the rights, benefits, and fundamental respect and dignity. Let's see. Right to work laws. Right to work laws and other anti-union legislation in Republican states, including Florida, have undermined unions' ability to collect dues, gain recognition when a majority of workers vote to organize, and given union-busting corporations leeway to get away with stiffing their workers. Oliver believes that union organizing and collective bargaining are the strongest levers of power to fight for economic justice, with Republicans in the majority and Trump in the White House. Yes. And Congress pro-act, there we go, and support the rights of workers to unionize and build power. I imagine there are other ways to also help with that. Let's see. Support legislation to close the carried interest loophole. Restore the Glass-Steagall Act to separate investment in commercial banking and regulate cryptocurrency under the SEC. Okay. With restored top marginal tax rates, Oliver will support reinvesting in America with paid medical and family leave, including up to 1 year for new parents, universal 3K and pre-K through college, all the way, reinstating the child tax credit to cut child poverty by half in 1 year. That was by the American Rescue Plan. I still appreciate Democrats for that. If the Democrats hadn't passed that, I don't know if I would still be with them so much. So I definitely appreciate that. And adding surtaxes to corporate employers who underpay their full-time employees. Okay. Oh, who underpay, yeah. Currently get away with paying zero in federal taxes and expect the taxpayers to subsidize with corporate welfare. Aside, I personally actually prefer corporations to not have to pay federal taxes in general, but if the money does get around to the investors, they sell their stocks, they get dividends or whatever, that should be taxed at 100, like the whole rate, the whole ordinary income rate. No smaller rates. No, just you get it, you're taxed on it. You invest, then maybe you can get a deduction for that. But if you get the money from your investments, you should be taxed on that. If the money's in the business, hey, you leave it in there, lease out like a building or something, pay more people, whatever. That's cool. That's awesome. That's the economy. But when it goes back to the investors, to the bourgeois, then it's got to be taxed. Expanding Social Security is an essential program. Regressively taxed program, meaning the poorest workers are contributing greater proportions of their incomes into the program than the wealthy. Oh, I didn't really know that, but I can kind of imagine that happening. There is a cap, yep. Billionaires pay the same amount. It's preposterous. Oliver will support legislation to scrap the cap on taxable income for the Social Security so the wealthiest pay their fair share. Will advocate to expand benefits to keep up with the cost of living. Yes. I'd put the benefits at like a flat amount, the maximum amount it is now, and maybe, yeah, I guess so, because seniors deserve it. Now, maybe you could tax that amount, like add that to their taxable income, and then have the income tax rates kind of like make up for that, so that they kind of pay into the government, and then that money goes back as a Social Security to seniors who really need it, something like that, essentially, if you know what I mean. Let's see. All right, how long has this been going on? Almost 40 minutes. I gotta wrap it up. Climate resiliency, public transportation, public utilities, public lands. Oliver will fight to restore Florida's ecosystems by buying out big sugar operations and sending water south from Lake Okeechobee to repair the Everglades, Big Cypress, and Florida Bay. Yes. Shift away from fossil fuels. Electric buses. Oh, baby. Yeah. I like that. Federal. Oh, I like this. Easing traffic gridlock. Yeah, and in our counties in South Florida, at least, I know that can be very bad for sure. That gridlock is serious. Oliver supports federal public investment in sustainable energy and infrastructure, millions of good-paying jobs, preserve our Florida community, make U.S. global leader in sustainable innovation, abolish and persecute ICE, right in the middle, right where you can see it. Catholic, that's cool. I had a kind of a Catholic upbringing myself, sort of. Let's see. Florida 287G agreements. I heard of them. A lot of schools have to comply, otherwise they get in trouble. Let's see. Conducting. Oliver will work to appeal to Section 287G of the Immigration and Nationality Act. It deputizes law enforcement agencies to carry out federal immigration enforcement, invest in a just immigration system, and much more. Yeah, I mean, Trump really drastically increased the funding for ICE, for ICE, so that money could be better spent instead of bullying a bunch of people in city after city. Pathways to citizenship, due process, restore due process, end unlawful detentions, and hold federal immigration agencies accountable. Okay. Foreign policy and root causes. I don't know what that means, but... Oh, right, because our foreign policy is the root cause of most of immigration, really. From Venezuela to Haiti to Cuba. Indeed. Let's see. After field embargo. He mentioned it. It's time to normalize relations with Cuba. Foreign policy grounded in stability and diplomacy, not displacement. Oliver opposes the United States' unlawful violation of Venezuelan sovereignty and will not support the expropriation of another country's natural resources to be exploited by corporate fossil fuel or any other private interests. Okay, that's it's a kind of an aside. Like, he could have mentioned it in foreign policy, but he'll go deeper into that. housing stability, affordability, and security for all, homeowners insurance, condo assessments. Wow, this is a lot of stuff that really applies to the people of Miami Beach, of the beaches in general. People just buy, instead of buying houses, they buy condos because the space is just so much in demand. You even mentioned a current event here: public housing affordability. Fair Cloth Amendment blocks federal investment in new public housing. No way! That's crazy. Oliver will fight to repeal it. Local governments must have the tools and funding to build the homes their communities need. Federal rent caps and stronger tenant protections. A national plan to end homelessness. Investments to ensure every child and every elder has a safe, stable place to call home. Yes. Okay. Housing, then education. Every student in the United States deserves a world-class education from early childhood through college. That's why Oliver supports universal pre-K, 3K and pre-K. Yep, you mentioned that. Tuition-free colleges, community colleges, vocational and technical. Legislation to cancel debt and the politicization of higher education leadership, which has seen conservative Republicans installed at FIU. Oh, okay. At other colleges. Strong federal Department of Education. Oliver will fight back against right-wing efforts to ban books, whitewash history, and marginalize LGBTQIA youth. All right, gun safety. Kind of a short one. Let's see. Well regulated, yes. Assault weapons ban, universal background checks, red flag laws, mandatory waiting periods, magazine and ammunition restrictions, bans on bump stocks, and the repeal of the gun industry's special legal immunity from civil liability, and federal funding for school safety and community-based gun violence prevention programs. Yeah, that's and this day and age, those are necessary. I like how, except for the ban, these focus on means to prevent transfers of weapons. Because the Second Amendment specifically is against the government taking from someone, weapons, arms that they already have. An assault weapons ban would do that, but I think you can kind of squeeze it in. Just say, well, it's not really the intention. It's not really what the founders expected at the time that weapons would be at that capacity. So I'll accept it. I mean, it's tough. I'll admit that. I gotta say that it's tough, but I think it would be for the better. Oliver would back at legislation like the Equal Access to Justice for Victims of Gun Violence Act to hold negligent gun manufacturers accountable where it matters most, their bottom line. Yeah, because if they don't do these like waiting periods and background checks, they have to be held accountable. All right, let's see. Oh, this is so big. Ending forever wars, Iran, let's see. Iran More Powers resolution in the House. Cessation of hostilities, end of sanctions. Oh, that's a big one. Iran is very maligned these days, but there are many people who do want an end to sanctions because they are kind of, unfair, and they don't really help. We've had sanctions on them for like decades, and have they acted better? I don't think so. Let's see. A suspension of military aid. to you know who. Let's see, recognition of refugees' right to return, self-determination. I mean, I would add reparations to this, but you do what you can do. Oliver condemns the Trump administration's extrajudicial murders of Venezuelan citizens in 2025. Okay. Oh, there's a link here. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is similar to the situation with Iran. Oliver condemns Russia's illegal war of aggression in Ukraine and supports prioritizing diplomacy as our primary tool of engagement with Russia's allies. Oh, he mentions Russia has occupied the territory since 2014. That can be sort of a controversial statement. I agree with it, granted. I mean, they did take Crimea, right? So, yeah. Congress must suggest ICC, ICJ, war crimes, including removing U.S. sanctions on ICC investigators, and prosecutors. Okay, that's something we can do that would help. New START treaty with Russia and pursue nuclear non-proliferation. Yeah, we got to get around to that. We really do. I mean, who knows? 20 years from now, we'll get really, really reckless people. Like Trump and Putin would be like night and day comparison between them and whoever else comes around. Stephen Miller or maybe J.D. Vance or whoever. Well, not him, like in 20 years, but you get the idea. Nick Fuentes or something. Latin America ending the embargo on Cuba. Mentioned that. Just dropped it here. There it is. I believe in that, by the way. It's not helping, and it hasn't. It has not improved the approach that the Cuban government has had. So why even bother with it? It's not helping, and it's harming ordinary people who don't have access to most of the global economy. Supporting labor and environmental protections and trade agreements. Respecting self-determination. The islands and Haiti. Which, I mean, I think we're giving Haiti a hard time with like coup de grace, and I think, is it coup de grace? Coup d'etat and such. It's just it's ridiculous. And we're probably like limiting their economy, maybe not with an embargo, but with something similar, just somehow. All right, we spent enough time. Let's wrap up with veterans. Oliver, instilling Oliver belief. 1/3. Okay, more information. We can imagine that veterans are not doing well these days. Repeal the failed military housing privatization initiative. Yeah, in my opinion, privatization does not really help. It may be for like a few years, but then, then people have to pay just an arm and a leg in order to live, in order to have a home or whatever. Oliver supports building 500,000 to 1 million new affordable housing units to serve the 3 million people who work with or within the U.S. military. Wow, there's so many, and yet they need so much. That is serious. Let's see, mental health. Okay, that's all good. Yep, they have had a hard time. Full federal funding for the VA, and opposes all efforts to privatize it. Again, as I mentioned. Oliver believes the VA should remain a specialized agency within a broader Medicare for All system, ensuring veterans receive expert veteran-specific care, while upholding the original mission of the Department of Veterans Affairs: patriotism, not profit.